The silent power that makes any man chase you is not loud, it is not dramatic, and it does not beg for attention. It is the power of emotional self-control. In a world where reactions are instant and emotions are displayed without filter, the woman who can master her responses becomes unforgettable. She does not collapse when he pulls away. She does not over-explain when he becomes distant, and she does not panic when uncertainty appears. Instead, she remains grounded. That grounded energy creates mystery, and mystery creates pursuit. When a man senses that your happiness does not rise and fall based on his texts, he feels something shift inside him. He realizes he is not dealing with someone who can be easily controlled by attention or silence. And that realization awakens his competitive instinct, not because you are playing games, but because you are demonstrating value without announcing it. Emotional self-control communicates without words that you have options, standards, and a life that continues whether he shows up or not. Most people react impulsively. If they feel ignored, they chase harder. If they feel insecure, they demand reassurance. If they feel jealous, they confront aggressively. But the woman who understands her silent power pauses. She processes before she responds. She asks herself whether her reaction comes from fear or strength. And when she chooses strength, she changes the entire dynamic. A man is naturally drawn toward what feels rewarding yet slightly challenging. When you respond calmly instead of emotionally, you create space for him to step forward. When you do not over-text after he goes quiet, you allow him to feel the absence of your energy. An absence, when paired with dignity, creates desire. He begins to wonder what you are doing, who you are talking to, and why you are so composed. Curiosity grows in silence more than in noise. Emotional self-control also signals maturity. It shows that you are not seeking validation to stabilize your mood. You validate yourself. You manage your own emotions. You choose peace over chaos. That stability feels safe, and safety is deeply attractive. A man may enjoy drama for a moment, but he invests in stability. He chases what feels rare. And emotional steadiness is rare in a culture that glorifies reaction. When you test your patience intentionally or unintentionally, your calm response becomes your power. You are not cold. You are not distant. You are simply centered. You understand that your worth does not decrease because someone is inconsistent. You refuse to beg for clarity. Instead, you observe. You allow actions to reveal intentions. That patience communicates confidence louder than any speech ever could. Confidence is not shown by constant talking. It is revealed by restraint. When you can walk away from behavior that does not meet your standards without creating a scene, you elevate yourself instantly. The silent message becomes clear as you value yourself too much to negotiate respect. And that message triggers pursuit because it suggests exclusivity. Not everyone has access to you. Not everyone keeps you. Men are wired to move toward what feels earned. If attention is given endlessly without effort, it loses perceived value. But when attention is balanced with boundaries, it becomes meaningful. Emotional self-control helps you maintain that balance. You give warmth, but you also protect your time. You show interest, but you do not chase. You communicate clearly, but you do not over-explain. The most powerful shift happens internally. When you stop trying to control his behavior and start mastering your own reactions, your energy changes. You become less anxious, less reactive, less dependent on outcomes. That inner shift radiates outward. He feels it. He notices that you are not grasping. And when you are not grasping, he begins reaching. This silent power does not guarantee that every man will chase you. It filters, it removes those who seek easy validation and attracts those who respect strength. Emotional self-control creates a standard without speaking it. It forces a man to step up or step aside, and the right man will step forward because your calm confidence challenges him to rise. When you master your emotions, you master the dynamic. You become the calm in uncertainty. You become the prize without declaring it. And that quiet certainty, that unshaken composure, that ability to respond rather than react becomes magnetic, not because you demanded pursuit, but because you embodied value. And value, when felt deeply, is always chased. The second silent power that makes any man chase you is independence. Real independence is not rebellion, coldness, or pretending you do not care. It is the deep, unshakable understanding that your life is already full, already meaningful, already moving forward with or without him. When a woman builds her world around her passions, her purpose, her growth, and her standards, she becomes magnetic without trying. A man does not chase what is waiting on a shelf. He chases what is moving, evolving, and slightly out of reach. Independence shifts the emotional dynamic immediately. When you do not rely on him to fill your time, to entertain you, or to define your mood, he feels it. There is no pressure coming from you, no silent demand that he must show up constantly to keep you stable. That absence of pressure creates freedom, and freedom creates desire. People are drawn to where they feel chosen, not needed. When you choose him instead of depending on him, the energy feels lighter, and lighter energy pulls people closer. A woman with a life does not sit by her phone analyzing every notification. She has commitments, she has goals, she has friendships and interests that nourish her. When he texts and you respond hours later because you were genuinely busy building your life, it is not a strategy. It is reality, and reality is powerful. He senses that your attention is valuable because it is divided among meaningful priorities. Scarcity increases value, and independence creates natural scarcity. Independence also builds respect. When a man sees that you can make decisions confidently, handle challenges maturely, and navigate life without leaning heavily on him, he sees strength. Strength awakens admiration. Admiration awakens pursuit. He does not feel like your caretaker, he feels like your equal. Men chase when they feel inspired, not when they feel responsible for someone's emotional survival. There is a subtle but powerful difference between wanting someone and needing someone. Wanting comes from abundance, needing comes from lack. If he senses lack, he may feel pressure. If he senses abundance, he feels opportunity. Independence signals abundance. You are not trying to extract happiness from him. You are inviting him to share in happiness that already exists. That invitation feels exciting rather than heavy. When disagreements happen, independence protects your composure. You are not afraid of losing him because your identity does not collapse without the relationship. That calm detachment shifts power. You communicate clearly what works for you and what does not. If something feels disrespectful, you address it directly, and if it continues, you walk away without drama. That willingness to walk away is not manipulation. It is self-respect, and self-respect forces a man to evaluate his behavior. If he values you, he adjusts. If he does not, he leaves. Either way, your independence keeps you aligned with your worth. Men are instinctively driven toward challenge and growth. When he sees you striving, improving, and expanding your world, he subconsciously wants to keep up. Your progress becomes motivating. Your ambition becomes attractive. You are not competing with him, you are inspiring him, and inspiration is a powerful fuel for pursuit. He does not want to fall behind someone he admires. He wants to stand beside her. Independence also creates mystery. When your entire schedule is not available to him, when your entire emotional world is not poured out instantly, he becomes curious. Curiosity leads to investment. He begins asking more questions. He leans and he initiates. Not because you withheld artificially, but because your life naturally contains depth and movement. There is confidence in knowing that if he chooses not to show up, your life still moves forward beautifully. That confidence changes your tone, your posture, your energy. You are warm but not desperate, interested but not clingy, present but not over-available. That balance is rare, and rarity attracts effort. Independence does not mean emotional walls. It means emotional ownership. You allow connection, but you do not abandon yourself for it. You prioritize your growth alongside the relationship. You maintain friendships. You pursue goals. You protect your routines. When he sees that you are whole on your own, he realizes he is not your source, he is your addition. And being an addition to something powerful feels far more exciting than being someone's entire foundation. When you stand firmly in your own life, you send a silent message that your world is valuable. And if he wants access to that world, he must step forward with intention. That is the quiet force of independence. It does not shout. It does not chase. It simply exists strong and steady, and in its presence, the right man feels compelled to move closer. The third silent power that makes any man chase you is mystery. Mystery is not about playing games, hiding your personality, or pretending to be someone you are not. It is about depth. It is about understanding that not everything valuable is revealed instantly. When you allow someone to discover you layer by layer, you create intrigue, and intrigue fuels pursuit. In a world where oversharing has become normal, the woman who speaks with intention stands out. She does not rush to tell her entire life story on the first conversation. She answers questions, but she leaves space. She laughs. She connects, she engages, yet she does not spill every detail to prove her worth. That restraint creates curiosity, and curiosity is powerful. When a man is curious, he leans in. When he leans in, he invests. Mystery begins with emotional pacing. You do not reveal your deepest fears, past wounds, and future dreams all at once. You allow trust to build gradually. Each interaction becomes an opportunity for discovery rather than a full disclosure. When he senses that there is more to uncover, he feels a natural desire to continue exploring. The unknown pulls stronger than the obvious. There is also mystery and unpredictability, not inconsistency, but independence in your routine. You are not always immediately available, You are not always explaining every move. You have a life that continues beyond the connection. That subtle unpredictability keeps him attentive. If he knows exactly when you will text, exactly how you will respond, and exactly how much effort you will tolerate, the dynamic becomes predictable. Predictability can be comfortable, but early on it rarely inspires pursuit. A small element of uncertainty keeps energy alive. Mystery also comes from emotional composure. When you do not react impulsively, when you do not overshare your anxiety, when you observe before responding, you become harder to read. Not cold, but composed. He cannot fully predict your reactions, and that uncertainty keeps him thinking. He wonders what you are feeling. He wonders what you are thinking. That wondering creates mental investment. A woman who values privacy automatically carries mystery. She shares joy, humor, and warmth, but she keeps sacred parts of herself protected until trust is earned. That protection communicates self-respect. It tells him that access to your inner world is a privilege, not a right, and privileges must be earned. When something must be earned, it becomes more meaningful. Mystery is strengthened by passion. When you have interests and skills that he does not fully understand yet, you become intriguing. Maybe you are passionate about art, business, fitness, reading, travel, or personal growth. When you speak about your passions with excitement, but without over-explaining every detail, you create fascination. He sees that your mind operates on levels he has not fully explored. Depth invites curiosity, and curiosity invites pursuit. There is power in silence. When a conversation ends, you do not always have to fill the gap. When a moment feels charged, you do not rush to break it. Silence creates tension, and tension creates attraction. The ability to sit comfortably in silence shows confidence. It shows that you are not desperate to be liked. That calm presence lingers in his mind long after the interaction ends. Mystery also protects you from overinvesting too quickly. When you reveal everything immediately, you risk attaching before he has proven consistency. By pacing your openness, you allow his actions to match your vulnerability. He earns deeper access over time, and in earning it, he values it. Men chase what challenges their mind as well as their heart. If you are entirely transparent from the beginning, there is nothing left to discover. But when you allow complexity, when you show that there are layers to your personality, he feels drawn to uncover more. Each conversation becomes a step closer rather than the entire journey. Mystery is not manipulation. It is confidence in knowing that you do not need to perform for attention. You do not need to impress by overgiving information. You allow your presence to speak. You let moments breathe. You let him wonder. And when he wonders, he imagines. When he imagines, he invests emotionally. The silent power of mystery lies in restraint. It is the decision to reveal gradually, to speak intentionally, and to protect your depth until it is respected. When you embody that energy, pursuit becomes natural. He does not chase because you asked him to. He chases because he wants to understand you, to know you, and to earn access to the world you reveal one layer at a time. The fourth silent power that makes any man chase you is high standards backed by boundaries. Standards are not about demanding perfection. They are about knowing what behavior you accept and what behavior you walk away from. Boundaries are not threats. They are calm decisions about how you allow yourself to be treated. When a woman carries standards quietly and enforces them consistently, she communicates value without saying a word. Many people speak about what they deserve, but few enforce it. The difference between words and action defines power. When a man cancels plans last minute without a real reason and you respond with understanding once but refuse to tolerate a pattern, you show him that your time matters. When communication becomes inconsistent and you address it directly instead of pretending it does not bother you, you show emotional strength. And when the behavior continues and you step back without drama, you demonstrate that access to you is conditional on respect. Standards create clarity. Instead of chasing validation, you observe effort, you pay attention to consistency, you measure interest by actions rather than promises. That calm evaluation shifts the dynamic. He senses that he is being assessed not with suspicion, but with discernment, and discernment raises your value. A man instinctively invests more when he knows that keeping you requires intention. Boundaries also remove confusion. If something makes you uncomfortable, you express it without aggression. You do not explode. You do not guilt trip. You state your expectation calmly and clearly. That composure commands respect. It signals emotional maturity. A man may test limits unconsciously, but when he encounters a woman who knows hers, he either rises to meet them or steps away. Both outcomes protect you. There is power in being willing to lose someone who cannot meet your standard. Fear of loss often makes people tolerate disrespect. They accept less than they deserve because they are afraid of being alone. But when you are not afraid to walk away, you radiate strength. That willingness to detach removes desperation from your energy. And when desperation disappears, attraction increases. High standards also apply to how you treat yourself. You maintain your health, your goals, your routines. You speak to yourself with respect. You avoid chasing someone who is unclear about you. That self-discipline reinforces your external boundaries. When a man sees that you prioritize yourself, he understands that he must prioritize you too if he wants to remain in your world. Standards filter out those who are not serious. A man who only wants convenience will struggle with a woman who expects effort. A man who thrives on inconsistency will feel uncomfortable with a woman who values stability. But the man who is capable of depth will feel challenged in a positive way. He will feel motivated to show up better, to plan thoughtfully, to communicate clearly. Standards do not repel the right man, they attract him. Consistency is crucial. If you tolerate behavior once and then suddenly react strongly later, confusion replaces respect. But when your boundaries remain steady, people adjust. If you say you value communication, you consistently expect it. If you value punctuality, you consistently reinforce it. Over time, he understands that your expectations are not temporary moods. They are part of who you are. High standards shift your focus from being chosen to choosing. Instead of asking whether he likes you enough, you evaluate whether his actions align with your values. That shift is transformative. It removes the pressure to impress and replaces it with observation. You become selective, and selectivity increases perceived worth. When he realizes that losing you is a real possibility if he becomes careless, he becomes intentional, not out of fear, but out of recognition. He recognizes that you do not cling, you do not beg, you do not negotiate respect. That calm firmness commands pursuit because it positions you as someone who cannot be taken lightly. Boundaries also protect your emotional energy. You do not overextend yourself for someone who has not proven reliability. You do not rearrange your life repeatedly for minimal effort. That balance keeps attraction alive. Effort flows in both directions. When he invests, you reciprocate. When he withdraws, you step back. This rhythm maintains equilibrium and prevents imbalance. The silent strength of standards lies in quiet enforcement. No speeches, no ultimatums, just actions aligned with self-respect. When you embody that discipline, you create an environment where only genuine effort survives. And in that environment, a man who values you will not drift away casually. He will move closer with intention, because he understands that keeping you requires showing up at his highest level. The fifth silent power that makes any man chase you is emotional warmth combined with selective availability. Warmth alone without boundaries can lead to being taken for granted, and availability without purpose can reduce perceived value. But when genuine kindness is balanced with intentional presence, attraction deepens in a powerful way. Emotional warmth is not about overgiving. It is about making a man feel seen, heard, and appreciated when he earns access to you. When he shares something important and you truly listen instead of waiting for your turn to speak, he feels understood. When he makes effort and you acknowledge it sincerely, he feels respected. When he expresses ambition or vulnerability and you respond with encouragement rather than judgment, he associates you with emotional safety. That safety creates attachment. Men are often taught to suppress emotion. When they encounter a woman who creates space for honesty without pressure, it stands out. If he feels that he can relax around you, that he does not have to perform constantly, he begins to value your presence deeply. Emotional warmth builds that comfort. It allows him to connect beyond surface attraction. But warmth must be selective. If you give it freely to someone who has not shown consistency, it loses impact. When you reward effort with appreciation and respond to investment with closeness, you create a healthy feedback loop. He learns that showing up leads to positive connection. That realization encourages him to step forward more often. Selective availability strengthens this dynamic. You are not distant or cold, but you are not constantly accessible. Your time has structure, your energy has limits. If he wants to see you, plans must be made. If he wants deeper conversation, consistency must exist. This balance communicates that your presence is valuable and intentional. When a man senses that your warmth is earned rather than automatic, he values it more. If he experiences affection, laughter, and emotional connection only when he invests properly, he associates effort with reward. That connection between effort and reward increases pursuit. Human psychology responds strongly to positive reinforcement that requires action. Selective availability also protects your emotional energy. You do not overextend yourself for someone who is uncertain. If communication becomes inconsistent, you do not continue pouring warmth into silence. You step back naturally. When effort returns, your warmth returns. This rhythm creates balance rather than imbalance. There is power in being emotionally generous without being emotionally needy. When you compliment him authentically, it feels good because it is not excessive. When you express appreciation, it feels meaningful because it is not constant flattery. Your words carry weight because they are intentional. Warmth also involves positivity, not forced happiness, but a grounded optimism. When he associates you with calm conversation, shared humor, and emotional encouragement, he begins to crave that energy. Life brings stress from work, family, and responsibilities. If your presence feels like peace rather than pressure, he moves toward it naturally. Selective availability increases anticipation. If he cannot predict that you will always say yes immediately, he begins to plan better. If he knows that time with you is not unlimited, he becomes more present during it. Anticipation builds excitement, and excitement fuels pursuit. Emotional warmth with discernment creates depth. You share stories gradually. You reveal vulnerability when trust has been demonstrated. You allow him to feel closer step by step. That progression keeps connection alive. If everything is given instantly, there is nothing left to build. When connection grows through shared effort, it feels earned. This balance also demonstrates emotional intelligence. You understand when to lean in and when to step back. You respond rather than react. You give affection when it aligns with respect. You withdraw gently when alignment disappears. That emotional rhythm feels mature and attractive. A man chases what makes him feel both inspired and valued. Warmth inspires closeness. Selective availability preserves value. Together, they create an experience that feels rewarding but not effortless. He does not feel smothered, yet he feels appreciated. He does not feel ignored, yet he understands that access to you is meaningful. When you embody the silent power, you are not manipulating dynamics. You are protecting your energy while offering genuine connection. Your kindness feels authentic. Your presence feels intentional. Your time feels earned. In that space, pursuit becomes natural because he does not want to lose the emotional experience he feels when he is with you. The sixth silent power that makes any man chase you is unshakable self-worth. Self-worth is different from confidence that depends on compliments, attention, or validation. It is a deep internal belief that you are valuable simply because you exist, not because someone chooses you. When a woman truly understands her worth, her behavior changes in subtle but undeniable ways. She stops auditioning for approval. She stops shrinking to be accepted. She stops overgiving to secure affection. And that shift transforms the dynamic completely. A woman with strong self-worth does not panic when faced with uncertainty. If a man takes longer to respond, she does not immediately assume she is losing value. If he seems distracted, she does not rewrite her personality to regain attention. She understands that another person's mood or inconsistency does not define her desirability. That calm internal stability becomes magnetic. Emotional steadiness signals strength, and strength draws respect. Self-worth influences standards without effort. You no longer tolerate half-hearted communication, vague intentions, or inconsistent behavior because deep down you believe you deserve clarity. You do not beg for reassurance. You do not chase someone who is unsure about you. Observe, and if actions do not align with your expectations, you step back gracefully. That ability to detach without drama demonstrates power. When a man senses that you are willing to walk away rather than accept less, he feels the weight of potentially losing something valuable. There is a distinct energy in someone who knows their worth. It is quiet but firm. You speak with intention. You move with purpose. You do not over-explain your boundaries. You simply enforce them. That enforcement is not loud or aggressive, it is consistent, and consistency creates respect. A man may test limits unconsciously, but when he encounters a woman who remains steady in her value, he quickly understands that access to her requires effort. Self-worth also changes how you give affection. You give because you want to, not because you are afraid of losing him. You compliment him because you appreciate him, not because you hope it will secure commitment. That freedom in your giving makes it feel authentic rather than transactional. When affection is not driven by fear, it feels lighter and more genuine. And genuine connection fosters pursuit. When rejection happens, self-worth protects your dignity. Instead of internalizing it as proof that you are not enough, you recognize incompatibility. You understand that not every connection is meant to last, and that someone walking away does not reduce your value. This mindset prevents desperation. It prevents overcompensation. It keeps your energy grounded. Men are drawn to women who value themselves because it signals rarity. If you treat yourself like an option, others will follow. If you treat yourself like a priority, others adjust. The way you speak about yourself, the way you carry yourself, the way you allow others to treat you all communicate internal beliefs. When those beliefs are rooted in worth, your presence feels elevated. Self-worth eliminates the urge to compete for attention. You are not comparing yourself constantly. You are not monitoring other women to measure your desirability. You understand that what is meant for you will recognize you. That relaxed confidence creates intrigue. It suggests that you are secure regardless of outcome. Security is deeply attractive because it feels stable. This internal strength also inspires growth in others. When a man sees that you hold yourself to high standards, he subconsciously feels challenged to rise, not because you demand perfection, but because your energy reflects discipline and self-respect. He understands that to remain in your world, he must show consistency and maturity. That understanding encourages pursuit rather than complacency. Self-worth also protects your time. You do not invest endlessly in someone who offers minimal effort. You do not wait indefinitely for clarity. You choose environments where you feel valued. That decisiveness keeps your energy from being drained. When a man realizes that your time is limited and meaningful, he becomes more intentional. The most powerful aspect of self-worth is detachment from outcome. You enjoy connection, but you do not cling to it. You allow relationships to develop naturally without forcing progression. If something ends, you grieve, but you do not collapse. Your identity remains intact. That independence of identity creates admiration. When you embody unshakable self-worth, you stop trying to convince someone to see your value. You assume it is visible. And if someone fails to recognize it, you move forward without resentment. That calm certainty shifts the entire dynamic. A man who encounters that energy feels compelled to step up because he understands that being with you is not about filling a void. It is about matching a standard.